of just doing some general hatha classes. Tonight's class, I wanted to take you through a flying splits class. And it's an arm balancing pose. It also takes quite a bit of flexibility as well in our hips. But it's one of those poses that if you journey towards it and you never actually get to the complete pose, just the process of aiming towards it gives you so much to work on and so many cool other outcomes along the way. So I thought I would create this class that you can kind of go back to anytime to break down into little chunks if you wanted to. We're going to be doing hip work. We'll be doing some arm, shoulder stuff to prepare for this arm balance. And it is also a really exhilarating pose when you get it, because it's something that is totally possible if you practice, if you follow the process, and you enthusiastically try over and over again. You can get there, and I really want to offer you guys more of those opportunities to have something to work towards in your practice, and surprise yourself with what you're capable of. And it's like also another pose like that I feel is handstand, and maybe you never hold handstand for longer than a few seconds, but all the work that it takes to build up into handstand, it filters and domino effects benefits out into so many other areas of your practice, your health and well-being, your posture, your proprioceptive awareness is just so good for you. So this is one of those poses as well that, the journey is the way. Okay, so we're going to have some fun, and it is going to be a nice hip opening class, and I hope you enjoy working into trying the pose as well. We're going to be using some props and stuff too. Okay, sitting comfortably, and we'll go through some guided body awareness. You can actually lie down already if you'd like to. So we are going to be starting lying down, but just purely for presenting to you guys, teaching you guys, I prefer to sit up. But if you'd like to make yourself comfortable on your back, go ahead. And closing down the eyelids. And just getting comfortable in your body. Becoming present in your body and present in the room you're in. And as you start to draw your awareness more into your body, more into your present surroundings, just noticing how that draws you away from everything that's happened today. Allowing it to draw your mind, your focus away from anything that you might be ruminating on or stressing about. And slowly gradually becoming aware of your different body parts, your legs, your hips, your belly, your chest, becoming aware of your shoulders and arms, becoming aware of your head and your face. Now bringing your awareness to the most obvious components of the experience of breathing. So just feeling that physical aspect of it with your chest expanding and contracting. Notice the coolness of the air as it enters your nose. And then start to bring your awareness to the breath itself and feel from an internal perspective how it fills and expands your lungs. And notice that spaciousness that it creates. And then as you exhale, the softening, the releasing. And gradually in your own time, we're just going to practice full yoga breathing tonight. So nothing too technical. And I even invite you to not even think about it as a technique, just really settle into really full, deep, expansive breaths and just become the observer of your body, of the subtle energy that envelops your physical body. Becoming the observer of the journey of your breath and just having that single intention of filling your lungs completely, exhaling completely, and simply observing. Notice if your breath starts to naturally become a little bit more full as you maintain your focus on your breath. And do one more full cycle of the breath and we'll move into some Gauranga breathing. All right, so let's begin on the next round. Exhaling, emptying out your lungs. Take a nice deep breath in. Say the sound. Gauranga. Inhale. Gauranga. Continue on, inhale. Gauranga. 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 And come back to your regular breathing pattern. And just noticing if this short and simple practice of cultivating presence, cultivating a nice deep breath, and repeating a few simple mantras Just observing how this helps to calm your mind and body. Just 10 minutes. You can do it in the morning, you can do it on your lunch break, you can do it while you're falling asleep at night. It's so accessible and so profoundly helpful. All right, so start to wiggle your fingers and toes, just gently waking up your body. And we're going to hug our knees into our chest. Before you lay down, I should have said, make sure you have your belt by your side. So sorry to disrupt any piece, but do make sure you've got your belt handy. Hug your knees into your chest. Lengthen your tailbone down toward the floor. And feeling into that stretch in the front of your hips. So right in the joint there. And then take your hands to the front of your knees and make some circles with your knees. We're going to get our hip joints nice and juiced up before we head into all the fun we're about to have with our hips. Okay, circle back in the opposite direction. And come back to center. Take your knees wide. And really indulge in a nice big stretch. So you might feel different areas of your hips that feel like they could use a little extra push when you get there. Go ahead and feel free to apply a little extra pressure. And back in the opposite direction as well. One more time. Come back to center. Lower both feet to the floor. Keep your knees bent. And take your middle of your belt around the sole of your right foot and extend that leg, taking the foot up into the air. Drawing the leg in and exhaling to release. Making some dynamic movements, about 10 repetitions. And on the final rep, we're going to hold the leg in and really try to breathe through drawing the leg in at our maximum capacity without causing any harm, of course. So when you're ready to hold your leg in, shoulders down away from your ears, draw the leg in and try to keep your hips lengthening down toward the floor as you bring that leg in. For more of a stretch, you can extend the left leg out, flex your toes back toward you. And one more breath here. Now release the belt, lowering your belt over to the left side. Bring your knee down toward your armpit, holding your foot, drawing your knee down, thighs moving down alongside your chest. And keep working the left hip down, opening up. Nice diagonal stretch through the hips and half happy baby experience through the right hip. Inhale. And exhale. Now inhale, raise the leg up. Exhale, slowly lower it down. All right, now place the right foot on the floor to start and take the belt around the left foot, extending your leg up. And moving with your breath, drawing in and out. When you're ready, holding that leg in. Really try to keep the focus just on that stretch through the back of the leg, keeping the rest of your body as relaxed as possible. Extending out through that supporting leg if you like. Getting ready to release the belt, placing it over to the side. And bend your knee, bringing that knee down toward your armpit, thigh down alongside your ribs, holding your foot, pressing your knee down toward the floor, lengthening your tailbone down and extending into that supporting leg if it's outstretched. And then just settling into a nice deep stretch. Continue breathing naturally. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, raise the leg up. Exhale, lower it down. Take a breath, relax your hips completely, relax your legs. And bring both feet to the floor, ankle to the top, right ankle to the top of the left thigh, interlock your hands behind your thigh, and press your knee away. Using your elbow to increase the intensity by pressing the knee away, and then the hands are increasing the intensity by drawing the legs in. So you can keep your head resting on the floor, or inhale, raise the head up. Exhale. Release and change sides. Elbow into the knee, interlock your hands behind your thigh. If you like, you can raise your head up. Press the knee away. And don't be afraid to challenge yourself by drawing that leg in and increasing the intensity. A little bit of intensity is good. Exhale. Both feet to the floor. And we're going to rock ourselves up to sit, reaching our hands forward and jump our legs back to come into plank. So you can do a couple of rocks if you like, making your way up. Hands come forward, jump back, holding plank position. All right, holding here for a few breaths, navel drawing in, press the floor away, fingers and thumbs are spread nice and wide. We are going to do some chaturanga presses here. Modified version will bring the knee to the floor, knees to the floor. Main focus is elbows in and lower, 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 looking forward, and slowly, with control, press back up. So this is a really wonderful foundational movement to practice regularly to help just increase through your arms, your shoulders, stability in these joints, and it also works into your core as well. If you like, for more of a challenge, straighten out through the legs. So we're going to lower down for 4, 3, 4, and press back up for 4, 2, 3, 4. We'll do that 3 more times. One more to go, just moving in your own time down as slow as you can go, about 4 seconds. Inhaling up for about 4. Exhale. Knees to the floor, rest your shoulders. Lower your forehead to the floor, reaching out into your fingertips, pressing your hips to the floor, pressing your hips to your heels. Inhale, lift up. Tuck your toes under. Raise your hips up. Just taking your time to find your way into downward dog. Going through some of the modifications first. So knees bent. Check your fingers and thumbs spread nice and wide. Press the floor away. And take your time to move through the joints in your body, starting with all of your fingers and knuckles. Noticing how they're activating and pressing into the floor, offering that nice biofeedback right up into your shoulders. Notice your wrists. And
Rolling the upper arms in toward each other. Feeling that movement with your shoulders as well. Press the floor away and notice how you have that shift through the chest and shoulders. And then reach into the hips, tilt your pelvis forward, scoop the belly. And play around with your ankles too, lifting and lowering your heels. Feeling those bends in your knees. And then inhale, going into full downward dog now. Bending the knees if needed. Implementing any props that feel relevant for your own comfort and practice today. Holding here for another few breaths. All right, inhale. Raise the right leg up, reaching right up into that foot. Reaching into your toes, and then roll the hips on top of one another, pressing that left heel down toward the floor. Hips are nice and open. Keep pressing the floor away strong through the arms and shoulders. Bend your knee, bringing your heel down toward your hip. For more of a stretch, you can shoot that foot back behind you a little. Just stay steady through your chest, steady through your shoulders. And slowly come back to center, straighten the leg. Hips return to center. And let's do the other side. Inhale. Raise the left leg up. Roll the hips open. And bending through the knee. Heel moving in toward your hip. And for more playful stretching, just sending that foot back a little. And slowly making your way back with feet to the floor. Knees to the floor. Hips to your heels, resting your arms and shoulders, coming into child's pose. And relax through your shoulders, feel your shoulder blades sliding away from one another, working into that whole area that was just working strongly. And take one more nice full body breath here. And slowly roll yourself up. We are going to practice some knee drives because when we go into flying splits, part of what makes the pose work is that lift through the core, similar to the experience of crow pose, where you really got to scoop in and lift, and there's also a lot of play between the shoulders, the arms, pressing in, lifting up out of your wrists. So we are going to do a little bit of core activation just to train that kind of muscle activation and strengthening. The hands come forward, lifting back into downward dog. We'll go 5 repetitions on each side. Inhale, raise the right leg up. Exhale, bringing that knee down and into your chest, and shoulders come over your wrists. Lift, 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 and send it back. And come forward. And back. And forward again. Back. And one more. Lower that foot down. Take a rest between sides if you need to. Inhale, raise the leg up. Exhale, left knee comes into the chest, shoulders forward. Inhale it back. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 3 more. Lift like your life depends on it. Back. 2 more. And both feet to the floor. Take a rest in child's pose. Big toes together, knees wide apart. Arms come forward, soften your chest to the floor, head to the floor. All right. Now going up, 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 lifting into downward dog, jumping your feet forward. And inhale, slide your hands up your shins. Exhale. Bend through your knees, wrap your arms around your legs, fall forward. Inhale, rolling up, coming all the way up to stand. Hands come together. Then exhale, coming down into chair. So sweeping the fingertips down along the floor, bend the knees. Bringing the arms up, shoulders down away from your ears. Lift through the belly, lengthen through this front body. And settle into chair pose. So it might look like this, maybe like this. You might want to go deep, drop right down. Finding a position that feels right for you today. And one more breath. And inhaling. Lift up. Exhaling. Hands to prayer position, coming back into chair. In a modified twist, if you like. Inhale. Or if you feel able to go deeper, elbow to the outside of your knee, turning to look over your shoulder. And just cultivating a nice steady breath. Working your elbow against your thigh to help you rotate around. Inhale, lift up. Big breath. Exhale. Over to the other side. The modified version. And maybe even starting here and then gradually moving into a deeper twist. Your elbow to the outside. Press the palms together. Notice how when you press the palms together and work that elbow against your knee, it helps you to really lift and rotate through your spine. Inhale, come up. Exhale, bowing forward, coming to a standing forward fold. Separating your feet to about hip distance. And just listening to your body and taking your time to come into the pose, gradually moving into the pose. So you might start with hands on your shins, taking your time. We're going to hang here for about 10 to 15 breaths, so don't feel rushed to fold immediately. You can play around with bending your knees or supporting yourself, hands under the blocks, hands on top of blocks. And once you feel like you can settle, either taking hold of your ankles, toes, or for a more passive version, cradling your elbows in your hands. Staying here for another 5 breaths. Inhale, bend the knees, slowly roll up, one vertebra at a time. Allowing everything to balance out. And staying where you are, inhaling, lifting up, exhaling, hands to heart center. Bending through the knees, and just like we did supine pigeon in our warm-up, similar experience, bringing the ankle to rest on the thigh. So your journey might come to here, or further still, combining chair pose and that pigeon-like position, dropping down into a squat. Staying here for a couple more breaths. gazing at a point in front of you to help you balance. Inhale, lift up. Exhale. Bending through the knees. Taking the left ankle on top of the thigh. Whoop. And soften down into a squat. Navel drawing in, squeeze your glutes, stabilizing your pelvis. And settle in. 2 more breaths here. And lift up. Standing from the front of your mat, exhale. Folding forward. Stepping your feet back. And looking forward, lower down. Inhale, taking it nice and slow, moving into cobra. Stretching out through your spine. Knees to the floor, tuck the toes, lift back into downward dog. Inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, step your right foot in between your hands. Inhale, come up into high lunge. Holding here for 5 breaths, keeping the back knee up off the floor. So also what we're trying to cultivate here is the experience of kind of opposing forces, where you're dropping down into that front leg, grounding down into your feet, reaching back, but at the same time, that pressing down helps to create a lift and a buoyancy through your upper body, your hips. So there's that almost equal and opposite energy moving downwards and upwards, helping to create stability and lightness in the pose. And exhale. And you can step straight back into downward dog if you wish, or take a little flow. Inhale, cobra or upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, stepping that foot forward. Inhale, come up into high lunge. So the reason I mention that specifically for this class is that so much of the experience of flying splits and many of those more challenging poses, balancing poses. Okay, one more breath. Exhale. Step back, lower down, inhale. Exhale. Full breath. We're going to go into side lunge from here. If you'd like to use a block, make sure you have one handy. Inhale, raise the right leg. Exhale. Step your foot forward. I'm going to quickly reach for my block. Spin the back foot down at a 45-degree angle and plant your right hand down either to the inside of that foot, or some people feel more comfortable with the hand on the outside of the foot. And then from here, we're going to trace fingers down on the floor like you're making a nice big circle to bring the hand up. What that helps to do entering into it this way is to open up, whereas sometimes if there's a bit of restriction in our hips and our chest is shoulders collapsing forward, we try to get our arm up and it looks like a bit of a damaged wing. So this helps to open up through the chest, and sometimes even having a higher block setting can help to really give that nice open experience that side angle offers. Exhale, release. Step back, lower down. Inhaling up. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale. Step your foot forward. Spin the back foot down at an angle. And then either hand to the instep or outside of your foot or block. Trace the fingers along the floor, make a nice big semicircle. Taking that arm up. Creating that buoyancy again, pressing down into the feet, that lower hand, and then lifting through your upper body, your spine. Exhaling. Set the block to the side, hands to the floor, lower down, inhaling up, exhale, downward dog. Inhale the right leg up, exhale, step your foot forward, back knee to the floor and flatten your back foot. Have your blocks handy for underneath your hands if you like that experience for a half split. Then inhale, raise your arms up and drop your hips down, down, down. Let them be nice and soft, nice and gooey. And if they're not, you tell them it's time to be gooey. It's time to relax. I just had a vision of some of you guys smirking, going, "Oh yeah, it's all good for you to have gooey hips, hypermobile gooey hips." Few breaths. And exhale, hands either side of your front foot and shifting your weight back and forth. So this position here is half split. We are going to hold that in a moment, but first just taking some dynamic movements, shifting the hips back and forth. And inhale, getting ready to hold this position. I'm going to show you with the blocks. Blocks under each hand. Shifting your weight back. And what the blocks allow you to do is really lift and reach your chest forward, which can help to accentuate the stretch through the back of this leg. And release. Hands to the floor, step back, either downward dog or flow into downward dog. Inhale, raise the left leg up. Exhale, step your foot forward. Back knee to the floor and flatten your back foot. Inhale. The hips descend, raise your arms, and consciously sending messages to your hips. Be soft, relax, let go. Working harmoniously with your hips to let go of stuff. One more big reach and inhale, exhale. Hands either side of that front foot, using blocks if you like, shifting the hips back and forth. All right, now taking the hips back, holding that half split position. So reaching your hips back, flex your toes back toward you. Strong sensation through this back leg, but try and keep your hips pretty square and neutral with the front of the mat. And reach, just like when we do a flat back, kind of a reach through the heart center. Exhale. Hands to the floor, step back, lower down. Inhaling up. Exhale. Hold downward dog for a full breath. Inhale, raise your right leg up. Exhale, stepping that foot to the outside edge of your mat. And modified version, back knee to the floor. Otherwise, we're getting closer now to some simulations of flying splits. So here, specifically, just mainly today, the focus of holding this position, press the floor away, get nice and strong through your shoulders, lift through the belly button, and work your knee and your shoulder in toward each other. And notice how you can go zoop and lift, lengthen back into that back heel. So you're not hanging into your hips, you're really drawing on your whole body, getting everything orchestrated, working together. And then as a challenge, press into the floor and we're going to step straight back, lifting into downward dog. Inhale, raise the left leg, stepping that foot to the outside of the mat. Now nice and active in the pose, hands to the floor, shoulder and knee working toward each other, and press and lift, lengthen into your back heel. Very active through the hips, the shoulders, the hands. One more breath here. And then press the floor away, lift. See if you can lift that leg back. Going into downward dog. I think we can take a little rest here. Knees down, hips to your heels, head to the floor, arms alongside your body. A few more breaths in this position. All right, inhale. We are going to go into practicing splits now. Hanumanasana. And we'll invite you to use your bolster, taking it pretty much to the middle of your mat. And just like we were doing in that half split and lunge position before, we're just going to very carefully and casually move into splits position, and you'll have the bolster resting right underneath your pelvis, right under your hips. And having that contact with the bolster can feel quite nice. If you feel you don't need the bolster, you can go ahead without it. I'm going to start with the bolster and then gradually remove it. So all you're doing is sliding, going from a lunge position over your bolster, sliding that front foot forward, straightening out through that front leg, and then seeing if you can settle your hips to meet the bolster. And you've got your hands here to help prop you up and lift your hips if it's too intense. Otherwise, you can take your hands to the bolster and kind of give into it, give into the intensity. So for me, I actually can feel as someone with hypermobile hips, this is really good for me because it's helping me to train properly and to actually go into split position. I can cheat splits and my hips just go burp, but it's not super correct. So holding here and just really letting go, staying here for a few more breaths. So you might be upright or you might be kind of hanging forward and helping to press the floor away to help lift a little in your hips. You can also place blankets on top of your bolster as well, just trying to build up the surface to meet you at a comfortable but nice deep stretch in this position. Okay, 2 more breaths here. Decided not to remove the bolster because this feels really good. And release, hands to the floor. Carefully walk that foot back. Come back over onto all fours. Step the left foot forward, positioning your hips over the bolster, and hands to the floor. Start to wiggle that foot forward, straightening out through the front leg, and finding yourself in splits over your bolster. Either propping yourself up forwards or taking your hands to rest on your bolster. Settling into your breath. Two more breaths here. You might feel your hips incrementally surrendering a little deeper, allowing your feet to just ever so slightly move further away from each other. Now hands to the floor, walking that foot back and in. Yes. Release hips to your heels. You may as well fold over your bolster while you're here. And slowly make your way up. Remove your bolster. Have your blocks within reach at the front of your mat. Inhale, lift up. And come into a downward dog. We're going to move into a, I want to say playful because that's the attitude I want you to take. It's not really a formal pose, more a balancing, opening of the hips, just building spatial awareness. Inhale, raise the right leg up. Exhale, step your foot in between your hands. And we're going to reach forward as if we're setting up for half moon. But you're not necessarily going to go into half moon. Just right hand to the floor or right hand to a block. And float the leg up, float the arm up. And just open up. Don't worry about it being fully stacked or at a particular angle. And down, open up through your chest, reach into your toes. Maybe taking the arm down, maybe taking it behind, maybe rolling the hip forward and back a little. And exhale. Step back. Look forward, lower down. Inhaling up. Exhale. Downward dog. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale, step your foot forward. Setting yourself up, so raising that leg up. Taking your time and even noticing the journey of your hips. Just connecting with that spatial awareness too, of your leg floating up. Maybe the leg stays hip forward a little, or hip rolls open. Placing your arm wherever it feels like it wants to go. And slowly release. Hands to the floor, step back. Wow, that felt so good. Not having to have it feel or look a certain way. Inhale. Exhale. Lift back into downward dog. And walk your hands back to meet your feet. Take your feet at least hip distance apart, maybe a little wider. And cradle your elbows with your hands hanging forward. Walk your hands out. Downward dog, and jump your feet forward. Come to sitting. Take your legs out in front. And engaging your thighs, flex your toes back toward you, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. holding your ankles, your feet, or a belt around your feet. Two more full cycles of breathing. Slowly lift up. Come through a mini butterfly. It's a transitional position to take your legs out to the sides. If you like, you can take your bolster out in front and then walk your hands forward. So we've only got a couple more hip stretches to go. So I do invite you to not be afraid to meet intensity. I was reading some research the other day that said that it's increased flexibility is cultivated when people stretch at their end range of motion, when it feels like a bit of an 8 or a 9 in intensity, and holding that. That's what actually helps us to increase flexibility. So if you're wanting to have some flexibility gains, it's worthwhile spending a minute not in pain, but enduring a little bit of intensity. A few more breaths. Slowly make your way up out of the pose. Yes. Bring the left leg under and the right foot on top. Carefully making your way into the pose, no shock to your hips. Although your hips are probably pretty ready for it now. No strain on your knee, picking up your foot and cradling your foot in your forearm or elbow, holding that lower leg, rocking the baby. So feeling it in your hip here, getting that hip nice and juiced up. Come back to center, give it a little hug in as you lift your lower back and your belly forward. Slowly release. Lower that foot down. Take hold of your left foot. Taking your time to move into the pose, no shocks to your hips or knees. Taking the foot to the elbow or forearm and just rocking your lower leg from side to side. All right, hugging it in. Lift your lower back forward, nice big stretch through that outer hip. And release. Hug your knees. And relax. All right, who's ready for playtime now? So this might be something that you just want to watch today. I think with these kind of big movements, if you're not familiar with them or you've never tried them before, it can be really just practical and sensible to watch it, contemplate it, envision it. I find for myself, I like to comprehend things first before I try them physically with movement stuff. So it might be the same for you, that you don't need to necessarily rush into things. It's completely okay to just
sit and observe. And then when you feel ready to have a go at it, you can come back and go through some of the process yourself in your own time, or just join in the things that feel like accessible for you today, and skip over the things that feel a little bit too wild. So it's not going to be that wild. Okay, so we're going to go on a little bit of a journey to get to flying splits. So we've done a lot of the preparatory work, which is just getting our hips nice and primed, lubricated, warmed up. Now it's just kind of bringing some of those movements that we were just practicing together. I'm just going to move some of my props out of the way so I don't end up in trouble. So for this pose, one of the really foundational things for carrying out the pose is the setup. So downward dog, knees to the floor. And it's stepping your foot forward and almost coming into a lunge, but not quite. And you drop your chest right down, and I'm going to go front on. And you're going to tuck your shoulder under your leg and then hand to the outside of that foot. So before we even practice lifting up, I don't know if you can see that, go front on, like this. So essentially, this leg goes up into the air, but it's balancing on top of your shoulder. So it's really important that you understand that connection, that you've really got to get down, just like with crow pose. We position our arms in a certain way and prop our body up on top of our arms. And from here, you're already, before you even lift the leg up, you can maneuver that lift by driving your chest up, driving your shoulders up. So I'm not moving my leg at all, that's all shoulder. And then I'll show you another little, you can come onto your toes, even with that back leg down, and raise that leg up, even as a little play. I'll do it on the other side as well. So you go step forward, a little bit of a broader lunge, so slightly diagonal, taking that foot to the outside of your hand, and then dive the chest down and tuck your shoulder under your leg, hands to the floor. And then see if you can walk that foot forward, 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 float the leg up. So it's all pressure with the arm, leg on the arm, and then to actually lift in the pose from there. That's when you've then got to start coordinating some of the strength and flexibility elements of lifting through the core, floating the back leg up, which we're going to have a look at now. So remember this is a work towards pose, a fun to work towards pose. Because imagine the feeling when you take flight. So cool. Also to note, it's really common to have one side that is doable and one side not as accessible. So it might be that you can get in and up and it kind of happening on one side, and the other side feels like, why isn't this working? It's a little bit, I don't know what the science is behind it, but I know from gymnastics, you have a dominant leg. In surfing, you have a natural leg. Skateboarding also. And I think also with some of our asana practice, we just have a dominant leg or a more flexible hip that maybe we tend to use just like we might naturally use our right hand or naturally use our left hand. Maybe throughout the day, we naturally squat or lunge on one leg to pick up washing or to pick up groceries, and that leg just becomes more incidentally trained. Maybe that's some of the logic behind it, but don't be spooked if one leg doesn't work and the other one does. And also, if one side doesn't work, don't give up there. Make sure you try the other side, because the other side might be a bit easier. Okay, I'm going to give it a crack. So I'll also go into it in stages as well so that you can see how you can build into the pose. So it is that chaturanga kind of press sensation that we were practicing earlier. Stepping the foot to the outside edge of the mat, hand and foot alongside one another, dropping and tucking that shoulder in.
making some little arrangements, and then check in on your back leg. Toes under, knee to the floor. So I'm gonna go take my hand, scoop it around the outside of that foot now, and all I'm feeling here is my leg positioned on top of my shoulder, and now it is. And I've got my hand right to the outside edge of my mat. Taking that leg up, lower my chest, float the back leg up. And see, it was also balancing like this. So your upper arm is kind of balancing or compressed right into your chest as well. So you're not freely balancing with your arms like this and your body's up in the air. It's kind of made a little shelf for this whole torso area to sit on top of. And then as you drop your weight forward, the more you start to lean forward, this leg feels like, oh, I know what to do. And it floats up to create that balancing position. Okay, I'll go to the other side. Step the foot forward, get down and dirty with my shoulder right in there. All right, good. Back knee up. Now lifting through the belly, float that foot up, raise the leg. And done. Let me know in the comments if you practiced along or if you just sat there going, oh, All right, little rest in child's pose. We're going to do one more on each side. Because the thing with these kinds of poses too is sometimes in the first attempt, your body makes those connections, lifts or engages, and then the second attempt, you go up and it feels like your body kind of knows what it needs to do, but it can do it with more oomph. So I do recommend trying a couple of attempts. And it's also one of those things too that the more you play with this kind of thing, same with handstands, that's always my biggest point of advice, is to not contain it to only when I'm doing a serious practice, you know, that's how I'm going to learn handstand. The more you repeat it, the more you engage with it, the more you engage with it with playful curiosity and just like, you know, what about this? You know, as long as you're warmed up, safety first. But, you know, the more you practice, the more you learn, the more you strengthen, the more you develop. Okay, I'm going to go again. Last time, each side. Shoulder in. Setting up. Leg up. And release. Oh yeah, yeah. And other side. Shoulder in. Up. And release. Yes. And release. All right. Just going to check the comments. Can't raise my leg. Cool, that's fine though. You can, the more you practice it, the more you'll start to feel it. So I can't stretch my front leg. I stretch it. How do you stretch that front leg? The more you practice all the things that we did to build up into this pose. Splits, stretching splits. Also, it's the lift. It's much easier to straighten that front leg when you kind of lift and get that strength and lift through here. Because as you lift, it helps to create space. So it's one of those, I know like in the intensive earlier in the year, I was kind of mentioning or threading through a lot of our practice how something can look like plank
It looks like, oh yeah, it's a core exercise. It's a full body exercise. Recruit as many muscles as possible. Get your whole body coordinating together. Get your prana on your side, and so it's learning that next level experience of working with your body that allows you, it's just like small, very subtle changes, but increase flexibility, increase your strength, and also the more you practice these kinds of movements, the more you develop that proprioceptive awareness. So if you can't get your leg up now, your brain, every time you do it, your brain, your nervous system, your muscles will retread that neuromuscular pathway. You do it over and over and over again, and then one day it goes boop, and it's like, what did I do differently? Nothing. Your body was just ready. You trained for it. So it really is practice, practice, practice is the way to go. Let me see. It was actually you when I made that comment about the gooey hips before. I just imagine you like snorting at me going, okay. Alrighties, it's time to wind down. Make sure you have your bolster handy dandy. And it's quite warm here tonight actually. It was a warm day on the Gold Coast, but if you want to have a blanket handy too. So we're going to take a nice chill cobra. I'm actually going to implement my bolster for my cobra. You don't have to though, just a nice relaxed spinal stretch. If you're using the bolster, taking the front of your hips to your bolster, perhaps starting in Sphinx and walking your hands up. Shoulders down away from your ears and press, lift and lengthen. And I also hope, if you're checking in a little now as we wind down, that even having a go at some of those things, challenging poses, even if you can't get your leg up, even if you just sat and watched, I just find those sorts of poses and possibilities come with a certain kind of energy. So it can bring a nice lightness to your practice, your body, your mind. And slowly take your hips back. Bolster, shifting it around so that you can lay over your bolster. Oh yes. I think what I love about those challenging poses too, and you're looking at, I'm 15 years in and off the back of gymnastics, so you guys have not seen my many years practicing for hours on my own with curiosity, with face plants and all that sort of stuff when I was discovering yoga. But those challenging poses always felt like, oh, now I can play. So much of the practice can feel like, okay, this is where your hand goes, this is what, and this goes like this. But when you go into a pose that you genuinely don't know how to do, and it looks like, whoa, that's cool, it's kind of just like, well, whatever, let's just go for it. And exploring your body, exploring all the different sensations, seeing what happens, just taking your time and losing sense of time as you kind of play in that sense. Like, that's what I love about those sorts of challenge poses. They bring a sense of playfulness and curiosity to your practice. Turn your head to the other side. But you've also got to be up for cultivating that, because it can go either way. If we take it too seriously, all we see is, well, I can't do that, well, I'll never be able to do that, and it's like, well, if you think that, then you won't be able to. But if you think it's possible, you'll enthusiastically try and try again, and eventually you'll grow in that direction. So all right, slowly come up. And shifting to reclined butterfly. If you'd like to go reclined butterfly over your bolster,
go ahead. And our final pose after this will be taking our legs up the wall before we go into Shavasana. Okay, yes. All right, we're going to take a couple of minutes here. I'm going to try a challenge for me, which is to stop talking. That we can have some quiet time. I'm just letting go into this pose, let go through the hips, the belly, heart center. And most of all, letting go in your mind. Okay, slowly coming out of the pose. Raise your knees, soles of the feet to the floor. And press down into your hands, lift up. And hug your knees forward. Just taking your spine gently in the opposite direction. And making yourself comfortable for legs up the wall. If you like, you can take a bolster underneath your hips. Ooh, clunk. Just elegantly moving onto my bolster, legs up. And if you have eye bags or a heat pack handy, you can place that nice heavy pillow on your feet. It's just a comforting experience. Oh my gosh, imagine a warm heat pack on the soles of your feet. That sounds like a beautiful, wintry, cozy addition. Just enjoying this nice relaxed experience, the spaciousness in your mind, the feeling post hard work of your practice. Even if it was enjoyable, there's still elements of it that take a bit of discipline, a bit of focus, showing up. So just reveling in this beautiful positive feeling and state that we're in now. Taking your time now to come out of the pose. Moving away from the wall. Just a gentle spinal twist to finish up. If you have a favorite spinal twist, go ahead and do it. I'm just going to go with rocking my knees from side to side. And taking the knees all the way over to one side.
to the other side. Now, come back to center. Hug your knees in and make yourself comfortable for Shavasana. Ah, yes. Taking a blanket over you if you like. You can continue laying where you are. I'm just going to sit up so I can guide you through it without dropping into a nidra myself. And observing how your mind and body feel after your practice. And just expressing through a little prayer of gratitude the health of our body, for the state of our minds, even though they may be a little much to deal with sometimes. Generally speaking, we are very fortunate to have a healthy body, healthy mind. Grateful for the wholesome relationships that yoga has brought to our lives. Getting to come together and practice from the comfort of our own homes and connect in such a beautiful way, being able to chant together and just, express and cultivate true friendship. Gratitude for all that yoga brings to our lives beyond the mat. The fullness in our hearts, contentment on such a deeper level, and the peace that that brings to our minds. And praying that we may always remember our eternal relationship with the Lord, who is always seated within our hearts, guiding us. Knowing that we can always ask in a prayerful manner every day, Lord, how may I serve you today? And letting that simple and easy prayer be something that we work towards each day and on our journey of self-discovery, shifting our state from being, how can I be served? How can I serve my senses? To, how can I serve the Lord? How can I be of service to others? Just resting in this blissful state of gratitude and loving connection. Letting your whole body be heavy. Letting your mind be soft. And your heart be soft. Seeing if you can surrender any walls or hardness around your heart that keep you from connecting with the Lord and surrendering and softening into your relationship with the Lord. Now, and just experiencing your whole body to be alive with prana. Feeling your body to be alive with the energy of you, the spirit soul, being carried by prana out into every cell in your body. And feeling every breath as if it's sweeping up and down your entire body, like a beautiful cleansing vehicle, just sweeping up and down, bringing lightness, fresh oxygen and nutrients throughout your entire body. And as you exhale, it helps to sweep out any toxins, and creating space for a fresh new breath to enter. Now slowly starting to feel into your body with some gentle movement, wriggling your fingers and toes, rocking your head from side to side, and extending out into your limbs. Taking some nice big stretches before rolling over onto your side and taking a little rest there. When you're ready, pressing yourself up to sit in a comfortable seated position. We'll finish up with a little kirtan, some pranams, and then the Maha Mantra. Joining in as you feel comfortable. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Vajashri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Vajashri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Once more, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo. Bringing our hands together in prayer position, bowing our heads to offer our respects to each other, and bowing once more to offer our respects to the Supreme Soul. Namaste. Well, that was fun.
Thank you, Sunny.
Thank you so much.
I'm
Oh,
glad
yeah.
I'm able to join the class.
Yay, I'm glad you're able to join too. And Leah, that's hilarious. And and so good you guys. And Sam, it's so good you're still here. But yeah, it was fun to practice with you guys. I hope to see some of you on Saturday and also next weekend as well. But yeah, have a nice rest of your night. Yes.
Night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Namaste.